there's no way that you can tell that much truth without offending certain portions of the population. And so now you have to figure out how you're going to handle that. And at 5'5", I've always handled it just first.
If you sign up for their program, you get a light-skinned, weird-faced wife that never do an interview. Listen, in 20 years, won't do an interview. Nobody's ever talked to her, and she's never been interviewed anywhere.
With Beyonce, you know, it's just a weird thing because I do love her so much, and I would never, ever want to do anything to hurt her or her image because she's, you know, she's important to us, but it's just a weird thing right now. Like, I love Beyonce still. And then you have celebrities like a Jay-Z. And this is where I think the whole fallout with the Beyonce, she's just kind of, in the crosshairs because of all of what's going on, in the media with respect to Jay-Z.
There's no vindication for me because for 4 years, I've been screaming, not just Diddy, but Diddy and Jay-Z are monsters. And the victim-making machine kept going.
Long before 2024, Katt Williams had already been hinting through his interviews, stand-up, and public appearances that the entertainment industry was heading toward a major shift, one where powerful figures and carefully protected reputations could eventually be exposed. At the time, many people dismissed his comments as exaggerated comedy or attention-grabbing performance. But as real-world events began to unfold, those same statements started gaining new attention. Public conversation intensified when the widely reported legal issues surrounding Sean Combs came into the spotlight, forcing audiences to rethink how they viewed individuals once seen as untouchable. From there, speculation began to spread online, with some users suggesting a pattern similar to what Williams had previously hinted at. Discussions grew even louder when unverified rumors claimed that Jay-Z and Beyoncé had quietly left the United States, although no official confirmation ever supported those claims, leaving them purely speculative. Interest also resurfaced around older investigative discussions tied loosely to the Jeffrey Epstein case, including references to informal FBI tips and unclear mentions of figures like Pusha T and Harvey Weinstein. Even in the original reports, there were clear acknowledgments of uncertainty, gaps in memory, and possible misinterpretations. However, once these details spread across social media, they quickly evolved into viral theories, reaction videos, and attempts to connect unrelated events into one larger narrative, with some voices urging caution, while others leaned heavily into speculation and conspiracy.
People like Jay-Z and Pusha T, they made their living killing our people, so how the f*** stand up for our people? You know what I'm saying? But we forget that because we love Jay-Z's music so much. We love Pusha's music so much, right? But you think they would ever, Beyonce had the best for somebody else? Yeah. You know what I'm saying? You think they would ever tell the truth? No, if they told the truth, they'd go to jail. You know what I'm saying? So you have liars. Man. Liars are now the face of our culture.
Approximately 2006, Blank last recalled being used by Epstein. Okay, so this is the first half and the section in which Jay-Z's name comes up. And while an allegation is an allegation is an allegation, what has me kind of skeptical here is the time frame in which Jay-Z is cropping up here. 1996, which is not the earliest point of his career, but early enough in terms of his studio album discography. He was barely having moved out of Marcy at that point, and his first record only sold like 43,000 copies. There's been a litany of debates going back and forth about like whether or not it would have been believable for Jay-Z to sort of have been in these kinds of circles way back in 1996, which I know the waters do get muddy a little bit because of how popular and massive Jay-Z is as a figure now. So as a result of that, it's kind of easy to almost like, always.
As speculation continues to spread online, many supporters within Jay-Z's fan community have begun pushing back, arguing that the growing narrative is being exaggerated and taken out of context. From their perspective, what's happening now feels less like accountability and more like a form of historical revision, where past events are being reshaped to fit present-day theories. A key part of their argument centers on credibility and timing. They point out that in 1996, Jay-Z was still at the very beginning of his career, far from the global business figure he would later become. Because of that, fans question whether he would have realistically had access to the kind of powerful international networks now being suggested by critics. They also warn against applying today's standards and assumptions to a completely different era. Some supporters further highlight similarities to past allegations that gained traction online but later lost momentum after closer scrutiny, arguing that the current wave of discussion follows a similar pattern. To them, much of the conversation appears to be driven by vague references, social media amplification, and connections built on association rather than clear, verified evidence, a cycle that can quickly turn speculation into perceived fact.
That in 1996, Jay-Z, still without a record label living in New York, was already hanging around with Harvey Weinstein. Sounds like BS, just like the last time. But some people are saying this is the time period that Jay-Z was chasing LL Cool J around in clubs in New York to battle him for clout, and we're supposed to believe he was connected to Weinstein and Epstein. They're saying Jay-Z was a rapper who was getting dissed by Tupac. All right, so look. They're saying that, look, Jay-Z can't have been that popular. He didn't have this sort of Harvey Weinstein, Jeffrey Epstein connections in 1996. It was too early. But then some people are arguing, wasn't he like 26 and already connected to the game? It's possible, in my opinion. Jay had connections by then. Reasonable doubt wasn't the start of his career. But then people are arguing and said that if he was that connected, so much connected, he was close friends with Weinstein, who was already winning Oscars. Why couldn't he even get signed by some label? If Jay-Z was so close with him, why didn't they use his firm to produce Streets Is Watching? Why didn't they do anything together for 20 years, never appeared together when they were such close friends, according to his lady? But then we get to this. So there's been a lot of allegations that Jay-Z has dated girls.
Another part of the conversation that continues to draw attention, even among longtime supporters, is the early timeline of Jay-Z and Beyoncé's relationship. Widely circulated accounts often claim that Beyoncé was around 17 when Jay-Z first showed romantic interest, while he was already an established adult figure in the industry. At the time, this detail received little scrutiny, but in today's climate, it's being revisited with a more critical lens. Although their relationship eventually grew into one of the most powerful and influential partnerships in modern music, the age difference has resurfaced as a point of debate. Audiences today are far more focused on examining power dynamics, especially in relationships involving differences in age, status, and influence. What was once seen as a minor detail has now become a central topic in ongoing discussions. As a result, some fans have started re-examining past interviews, lyrics, and public appearances, trying to reconcile their admiration for the couple's legacy with evolving cultural standards. For many, it's no longer just about the music. It's about understanding how influence and perception may have shaped narratives that once went unquestioned.
What's your audition with Jay-Z? Tell me what he said to you.
A really good audition.
And what did he say to you? He said something to you.
Oh yes, he said, we don't sing songs here, we sing artists. And there was this little pause, and I was nervous. But then he said, and we're interested. And there was this sudden feel of relief.
But then he said something about a window and a door or something.
Oh, then he said, he said it one more.
I did a lot of homework on you, this lady.
He said, there are two ways to leave here, either through the door with the deal sign or through this window, and we're on the 29th floor.
So you was like, where's the pen? Where's the paper? I'm signing.
Yeah.
The audience is so uncomfortable. Like, I don't know if Tyra was trying to get that on the record, but my God, what Jaguar? He threatened her. This is her own words coming out of her mouth. And she was a kid at that time, correct?
15-year-old girl who had been flown to the United States without parental supervision or a chaperone, brought to a grown man's office in a large corporate Manhattan building. Everybody knew when she flew in. I was there the day she got signed. Everyone was talking about it, and the 6 hours that she spent with him, and the 4 hours that she spent alone with him with no parental supervision. Her father didn't show up till the next day to come and collect the check.
Well, and
this is in her life.
The rumors were even beyond that, right? That Jay-Z was cheating on Beyonce with her when she was 17 is what a lot of this came out through a publicist who later then had to apologize. Have you spoken to my friend Jonathan Hay? You should talk to Jonathan. Please. Because Jonathan was there. He was right there working with Rihanna. And it was right when they started crafting her to be seen as a brand and commodity only and not a person.
And when I talk to Jonathan now, just to hear him when he thinks of his teenage daughters, he was like, Rihanna was the same age my girls are now. I couldn't imagine putting my daughters through what we put her through. And then the next thing you know, she was removed from that first team from Pond the Replay and replaced with all new handlers and kept sheltered in Los Angeles, where she was going out to parties and partying at 15, 16, 17 years old, hanging out at the Rainbow Room, hanging out. Yeah, like it was one of my friends who found out she was 17 when everyone thought she was 21. And he was like, yo, why do y'all got me carrying this girl around? And she's, it's cool, it's cool.
Well, but just to echo and support you, like they had to debunk that. Oh, we apologize. It wasn't real. We made it up in hopes of giving her single a boost.
Yeah, they promised Jonathan a deal working at Tidal and something, and then they reneged. And then the next thing you know, he was caught in a home invasion robbery while he was working on the Drake secret baby mama story. Jeez. Sophie. He was duct taped him and his daughter, and he was pow whipped in front of his child. So, there's a lot that goes on in the backdrop. And I know the PTSD. I know what it's like to be in a trunk. Speaking
of PTSD, you made a comment about this. Like, this was from the Super Bowl appearance more recently. This bothered you, seeing her put the Rockefeller's logo out there.
If you what was your back to that? And watch, it was almost as if she didn't want to put her hands up, and then she looked over where Jay-Z's box was, and then you just see her hands. She look at her. She's looking at his box.